and welcome to That's Just Prime, and today we're going to look at Beast Wars Neo Big Convoy, and I love this toy. Now this time around, we're not looking at a truck or even a gorilla or a lion even. This time around, Beast Wars Neo, our Optimus Prime character or our Convoy character, was a mammoth, and how awesome does this guy look? Just check this guy out. He just looks big and powerful, and I just think he looks so cool in this mode. Now, Beast Wars Neo was the continuation or the follow-up to Beast Wars 2nd. Once again, that's another one of those series that we got in Japan only. We didn't get an American release. So I've not been able to watch it. I've seen a couple of episodes that have been dubbed. And I think maybe like 3 or 4 episodes is what I've been able to find online. So I've not been able to watch the whole thing. I don't know what the whole story is. But what I've been able to see so far is really cool, and I really like it. So I'm really hoping that at some point somebody makes some translations and brings that show over, because that show was really, really cool. Now, this guy here is released in 1999, and it's another one of these figures that is Japanese only, so I don't know what the original retail on this figure was. However, it did get an American repaint release in 2004 as Nemesis Prime, so it had the black theme to its paint job, and that figure retailed for $19.99. So based on that, I'm going to guess that this guy was in the neighborhood of somewhere between 20 to 40. 20 being the low ball, 40 being the highest. That's going to be my guess of what this guy probably retailed when he was new in Japan. If you know, by all means, please go down below, leave me a comment, and let me know. This guy in Beast Mode is 9.5 inches long by 5 inches tall right here at the top of the head. And he doesn't really have a whole lot of articulation. You can move the tail here. And then these guys, there's a couple of features up here. I guess you can count these as articulation or features. It's up to you, really. But you'll notice that there's a button right here at the top. And what you do here is you pull back on this button, and that makes the trunk move up and down. Look at that. Check that out. That's really, really cool there. And then the ears. The ears, you can move these independently of each other, or you can do it at the same time, up to you. But if you push the ears back, these are spring-loaded, and it makes the tusks move. So you can go up and down one at a time, which is kind of weird. I don't think that's really the way that anatomy works. I'm not sure. Or you can do them 2 at a time, just like that. So, you know, you can do this kind of an attack or a feature or articulation, but that's pretty much it as far as the animal goes for articulation. You know, once again, you're looking at the late 90s beast former, so you're going to have a lot of shell. You're not going to have a lot of articulation. This guy, really, all he's going to do in this mode is just stand there and look cool. So there you go. If there was anything that I was going to change on this guy in this mode, not really. I really like it the way it is. Like, again, you're not getting a whole lot of articulation, but are you? Oh, well, I guess you could say the ears are articulated. You can make the ears flap back and forth. So yeah, you can count that as articulation. But I mean, if you're going to display this guy on a shelf in this mode, he's just going to stand there and look cool. So there's not a whole lot I would change on him. He does have an attack mode, and this is you know, a lot of these figures had this third mode or this in-between mode that was an attack mode. They are super, super silly. I'll do my best to show it to you. It's kind of weird. On these, there's a panel on each side, and you'll notice that there's a stripe right here on each side. Well, this whole panel comes out, and you pull out on this, and just kind of tilt it forward like that, and you do the same on this side. And what it is on the inside of these panels, there are some, I'm going to say like anchor-shaped missiles. Very similar, if you're familiar with Beast Wars Megatron, it's the exact same missile that he had. So you can take these guys out and point them in, you know, pretty much anywhere you want. You want to point it forward. And when you press on this black stripe piece here, there's a spring-loaded missile right in there. There you go. It shoots out really well. Spring-loaded, works real good. And there you go. There's your anchor-shaped missile. Very much like that Megatron in Beast Wars had. It's the same exact, just different color. So I'm going to set that aside. Shoot this guy off also. Yeah, I kind of hit that one with my finger. Let's try that again. There it goes. Yeah, they shoot really good. There's that one. Set those aside. And the reason I'm going to set them aside is because when you're messing around with this guy, transformation or features or whatever, it's really, really easy to hit that button and make those things pop off. So I'm just going to leave them aside for the purpose of the video. In fact, when I was pulling it out, right just now shooting the video, when I pulled it out and turned it, I actually hit that and it hit my thumb. That's why you didn't see it fly off. But I did pop it while I was doing that just now. The other feature that it has, this one's gonna get a little crazy here. We're gonna take this back panel here. We're gonna pop this up, and there are 2 pegs on the back of the legs there, and 2 ports right here. That's how that was pegged in there when you went back into Mammoth mode. So we're gonna pop that off. You're gonna see there's butt cannons, and these 2 top panels right here on the top. This is gonna split in half. So basically, you just get right here where you took these off. You can just get right in there and pop that straight up. And you can do that on each side. And it's going to want to start coming apart here because, like I said, this is a beast former. A lot of panels. So a lot of these panels are going to want to start popping off. So I'll do my best to keep it all in the video here. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take this entire assembly here, from the head to the back. You see pretty much that's all this cannon that you saw back here. So we're going to lift that up. And it's on a double hinge. So as you can see there, right here, it lifted up. And just for ease, I'm going to pop this up just because it makes it a little easier to show on camera. And you're going to take this whole thing, try to get these panels out of the way, and just bring it around 180. And then you can bring this cannon down like this. Get these panels kind of back to where they were, or you can bring them down to each side like this. Actually, I think you're supposed to bring them down on the sides and kind of cover up the sides of the face, okay? And then this first panel that we removed in the Mammoth mode, we just flip that all the way up and tuck the tail in. And now there is, let me adjust the camera here, is a very, very crazy attack mode. And what you've got here is pretty much a mammoth with a head that's been split in the middle, and a cannon sticking out of its forehead, and that's it. That's your attack mode. You got your cannon up here, and you've got your 2 side cannons there. The cannon does shoot. However, in this mode, it's extremely difficult to do because the way this cannon works is right here. You'll see this knob. You turn that knob, and when you turn it so far, one of the missiles shoots out. You'll see there's 2 missiles, and then when you continue to turn it, then the second missile will shoot out. So, because it's on the bottom here, it would be extremely difficult for you to try to get in there and try to shoot them off. So, I'm going to save that for when we get to robot mode, because in robot mode, that knob actually sits on the top. And I'll show you the missiles then. Or, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and pop this off for transformation. And this is one of those things, you can leave this on him during transformation, but it makes it extremely difficult to mess with the rest of the figure. And because it's kind of hard to do this from behind a camera, just to make it a little easier, I'm going to go ahead and remove this. I'm going to turn this into the cannon, show you how that works, and set it aside. And then we'll do the transformation on the rest of the vehicle. So, now that we've got this out, this was plugged in. If you look right here, there's a little port right there. And you can see on the top of the Mammoth there's your peg. So that's how that was plugged in. So we'll just leave that guy sitting back there. Flip this guy around and straighten this back up again. Now, if you look here on the top of the Mammoth head, right where the button was for the trunk, right back here, there's a little peg. Then you can flip this over, and that's going to reveal a peg. And that's where the figure is going to hold. This is where you're going to peg it into the fist for the actual figure to hold. And then you can get creative with these guys. You can kind of move these around where you see that they kind of look best. I tend to just kind of do it the way the instructions call for, which is to just aim these guys straight back like that to kind of make, I guess, kind of like built-in shields for the rifle itself to cover, you see how that would be protecting the arm. You got these shields protecting the arm there. And then this panel where the tail was, it just points all the way back. So the way this would work is that the figure would be holding the peg here with his fist, and then this trunk piece would go over his shoulder. And we'll look at that when we get into the robot mode. I keep wanting to say vehicle mode. I don't know why. I just got that word stuck in my head. So, like I was mentioning earlier, there's that knob, and as you turn this knob, you turn it clockwise, I think. Yep, there's one missile, and it seems it's like getting stuck. There's the second missile. It seemed like it got a little stuck there for a second. I don't know what that was about. But there's your missiles. The 2 of them are the same. And those, like you saw, they just go right in there. You orient them. They're not completely round. They've got half a moon and then a peg to one side. So you just orient those right in there. They're spring-loaded. They pop right in. And come on, get in there. There you go. And then you turn the knob to make them fire. So that's your weapon. That's how that's going to work. And we'll get to the rest of the transformation for the figure here. Now, again, this guy is really panely. So I'll do my best to keep it on camera and try not to mumble or stumble too much. I think this may be one of the more complicated figures I've done so far, and I'm still kind of new at this. So, one thing I kind of wanted to show in beast mode, you see this guy has actually got a mouth. So when the head's on here and you pull you make the trunk go up, you can actually, he's got an open mouth with teeth, and I think that's really super cool the way they actually went ahead and put all that detail into there. I mean, they just put a lot of detail in this guy. I think it's really cool. So let's get into the transformation. We're pretty much halfway there. We've got these panels up and out of the way. These panels are separated. We're going to take the front legs, and these have mushroom pegs that are plugged into the bottom of the mammoth head. So you can go ahead and pop those off there and there. And it's actually the opposite way of what I said. The mammoth head has the mushroom peg, and then the legs have the ports. So backwards from what I said. But anyway, pop that off. And we're going to extend these all the way out. You'll see that these are going to form the legs. Now, it's probably easiest while you're here. Go ahead and take what was the back legs for the mammoth and kind of point these to where the feet are actually going to be pointing to the back of the legs. This is probably the easiest time to do this. They have a tendency to get in the way if you do it later when you're in robot mode. They have a tendency to get in the way, and while you're trying to spin them around, this can happen a lot, and that's popping them off. And what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get a complete transformation without popping any panels off, just to show that it is possible. However, if these panels do pop off, as you can see, it's just a ball joint on the rotation peg here, so you can just pop these right back on, no problem. But for the purposes of trying to transform without anything coming off, this is probably the best time to turn these around, would be now. Okay, so while we're here, we're going to go ahead, I'm going to spin these and just get them out of the way. These launchers that we used earlier, these are going to become kind of like shin-mounted launchers. It's pretty cool. Now these panels, that ones that were the front legs of the mammoth, they're going to come up, and you're going to see that there's this joint here. And that's going to sit, if you'll see, there's a little round notch right here on the leg. That's going to sit in right there. And then this little peg here is going to plug in on that. You can see that little bit of a L-shaped piece right here on the leg. That's actually going to snap in place there. So you can bring that up and have this, again, these got to be out of the way. So that sits right in there. And then this guy comes down and snaps right in there. There you go. So, and as you can see, that snapped in there. There it is. Okay. Now this is going to be these are going to be the feet. So there's your toe and there's your heel. Just open that right up, and then just get that out of the way. Do the same thing on the other side. And I know it's probably getting difficult to see. Like I said, this guy's got a lot of panels, and it kind of makes doing this in front of a camera a little challenging. And as I'm doing it, I'm trying to do it while looking through the camera, which makes it difficult. This is a really interesting learning experience for me. All right, so there's your legs down, now completed. And then we're going to go ahead and take these at the hips and just finish spinning them all the way down, just like so. So now you've got, these are going to be the back of the legs. You've got the mammoth legs are going to be on the back, kind of helping the heel spurs out, and then these legs that were the back legs of the mammoth are going to be pointing back. Take this guy right here at the waist and turn him all the way around. There you go. Now, if you go back up here to what was the top of the mammoth and the back or the top of the mammoth right there, you'll see the fists are plugged in right on the back here. So just pop these guys right off, and these are really cool how this works. Go ahead and actually, before we move any further, go ahead and separate the mammoth head right there, okay? And you'll notice that these are mounted on ball joints, so it's really kind of easy to get these out of the way and just position them anywhere where they'll be out of your way. And then once we get in the robot mode, you can place them. There's a couple different ways you can actually position these to whatever you're liking, maybe. But for now, just kind of move them up and out of the way. Pop off the fists on that side, okay? And then come around the front here. These guys are going to rotate up from inside the torso, and that's going to lock in place. And then this is the outside of the shoulder that's got that little notch going into that groove. that comes around, and then this guy's on a ball joint. Just bring it down and straighten him up. Let me adjust the camera, bring this up a little bit. We're starting to get tall here, which is good. This guy's a great figure. I love this figure so much. So we'll do the same on this side. Pop the fist out from the back there. You can see the peg that the fist was plugged into. Pop that shoulder off right there. Rotate and straighten out. There you go. Now go ahead and take the top of the body and the bottom half of the body and push them together. That's going to reveal the head. Did I get that on camera? Let's do that again right here on camera. Epic head reveal right there. And then these earpieces come out. And that's pretty much our robot mode. At this point, we're just going to straighten things out. These panels here, I like to, if you see that rotation hinge there, I like to just take it and spin it all the way back so it sits as low as possible. Same thing on this guy. Just spin it back out of the way like so. And then I like to take my cannons and just kind of point them straight up. Just like so. So they're not, you don't have all this kibble sitting to the front like that. I like to kind of put it back there like that. And straighten out the shoulder, straighten this guy out, and there is Big Convoy in robot mode. And just check this guy out. I think this guy just looks super awesome and powerful. I mean, this is, once again, this is another one of these Convoy Prime figures that you are not going to mess with. This guy's got giant tusks just sticking out the sides of his shoulders. You can see there's some missile pods sitting right here on the top of his shoulders. He's got a bunch of other weapons that we haven't even gotten into yet. I mean, you just look at this guy and you could tell this guy means business. You are not going to mess with this guy. I absolutely adore this robot mode. Now, this guy in robot mode sits about 7 inches tall at the head here. Okay, probably about another ½ an inch here at the tusks. So take that into consideration if you're going to display him in robot mode, which is the way that I do. For articulation, this guy is extremely articulated. Again, this is one of those figures that has a lot of really good articulation. However, because of all the paneling and all the kibble bits and everything that he's got, I'm kind of straightening out that panel there. It wasn't really straight. Because of all the kibble and all the panels that he's got, you're not going to be able to make the most of all the articulation, but the engineering went into it. It's all in there. So as you can see, the head is on a ball joint. In my case, it's a little bit of a loose ball joint. So he does have some emotion. You can make him look up and down just a little bit, and he can rotate some. Again, he would be able to, but he can't rotate all the way around because of that panel behind there. But that's okay. You're not really going to have your Prime with his head 180 degrees turned to the back, unless it's some kind of a Exorcist Prime or something like that. I don't know. That's up to you. The shoulders, you can turn these down. I actually like to display them like this, with the shoulders down, and then use the missile pods like this as sort of an attack mode. That's kind of the way I like to look at it. And I'm not really sure if there's an official way of doing that or not. That's just my preference. I like to keep them like that normally. I just think it makes them look a little more linear. The shoulders are down a little lower. It makes the tusks point to the front. I think that looks really good right there. And then if I want to do an attack mode, I would rotate them like that. Again, that's one of those where use your imagination, and whatever your preference is probably the correct way to do it. That's what I would say. The shoulders here are on a ball joint, so you can move these guys all over the place. The elbow is on the interior ball joint here, and it's also on a swivel hinge here. So you got a good 90, but then you've also got rotation, and you've got in and out. So this elbow can do all kinds of stuff. No fist rotation. You can tilt the fist up and down a little bit due to the transformation. You saw he's got a waist rotation due to the transformation, so you can rotate on the waist, which is cool. The hips are on the universal joint, so you can take these in and out, and you can go all the way forward and all the way back with those. And again, these panels are going to get in your way. So you've got a rotation right here, right above the knee, so you can turn these guys. You got a double hinged knee, so this guy's got a lot of range here. Again, you got to move the panels around. You got to play with the panels to get them to, if you want to do a good soccer kick, like like that, you got to move some panels around. And then as you can see, the bottom of the foot and the heel here are individually articulated, both on a hinge and a ball joint. So, you can do like some A stances, and you can actually swivel the toe in and out just like that. So that's really cool. This guy's got a lot of articulation, and even though there's a lot of panels, if you move them around, there's a lot of stuff that you can do with these guys. Now for features, I just showed you the shoulder cannons. You can also take these hip panels here, if you remember the ones that were the legs, And again, this gets difficult to do, so I'm just going to pop that off. For the sake of saving time on the video, I'm just going to rotate it around like this. It's just quicker. You can do this. Let me see. Oh, there you go. There's proof right there that you can do it without popping it off. And you can point these forward, and these work as cannons as well. So you can actually say that he's got some hip-mounted cannons right there. Again, you've got the shin-mounted cannons that we used at the beginning of the video in the Mastodon, or the Mammoth Mode. I don't know why I say Mastodon. Mammoth Mode. You can plug these guys right back in here. And we'll go ahead and do both sides. Okay, I was doing it backwards. And there. Okay, there you go. So now you've got some hip-mounted guns here, and you've got some shin-mounted cannons there, and... oh, man, see, I keep putting my finger in the way. There you go. There's one, and here's two. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 cannons on the legs, and we'll spin these around again, and I pop that one off. Again, if it pops off, pops right back in on the ball joint, no big deal. I don't even remember how I spun this without popping it off. There you go. It seems like one side I can do without popping off, and the other side I can do without. Or I have to pop it off every time. I don't know. There you go. So there's those. Now you've also got on the arms here, these panels fold down, and you've got one on each side. You've got these set of tonfas here, and they got a little peg on the side there, so you can actually plug that into the bottom of the fist, just like that. So now you've also got some tonfas that you can use, and just beat somebody's face in with those. That is just super, super cool. So you've got 4 cannons on the legs that you can use to blow up somebody's face. You've got tonfas right here under the wrist that you can use to rip off somebody's face. And then you've got some missiles mounted on the shoulders there to, once again, blow up the rest of their face. So, I mean, this guy is armed to the teeth. I mean, dude. Okay, just right there, that was an accidental pose that I did just now. And that is a cool pose that I just did. And that was completely by accident, just kind of fiddling with him and him stand straight for the camera. That is a cool pose right there. I like that. All right, so yeah, like I said, this guy's got the articulation. He may have a lot of panels and all, but you can get some poses out of this guy. I really enjoy this guy. Oh, now check this out. Now, popping the panel off, the peg that was used to peg into the bottom of the fist here, it decided to stay with the fist rather than to come off of the panel. No big deal. It's just got 2 little pressure pegs right there on the side. It's just a little pressure joint. So this guy just pops right back in like so. And that's actually the first time it's ever popped off to show you that. So it's no big deal. If it pops off, it pops right back in. And they do tend to stay in place pretty good. So there's all the features. And then one last thing I want to try and do. Now this is going to get a little complicated. And I'm going to bring these guys back down just to make a little more shoulder room. And I'm going to try and mount his gun on. So we're going to go ahead and plug this peg into his fist right here. And it's on a rotation. It is on a joint, so it can rotate on you when you're trying to peg this guy in. So there's that. And then what you want to try and do is get, like I said, that trunk over the shoulder. And then just this guy out of the way like so. And there he is holding his rifle. And can we get him to stand? There you go. So there is Big Convoy in robot mode holding his rifle. And as you can see, he's got no problem holding it up. Balance issues, even though there's a lot of kibble and stuff all over the place here, there's not really a whole lot of balance issues. Even doing it here in the video, which is difficult to do, you've noticed he's not been really falling off on me or anything like that. So this is a cool figure. This is a fun figure. It's elaborate. The transformation is not extremely difficult, but it's got a little bit of a small level of complication to it, so it's not super easy. It doesn't get boring, but it's also not so impossible that you don't want to transform him. And then one last feature that I wanted to show. I absolutely adore this feature. If you come right here to the chest, this chest is going to pop right open, and inside you're going to see the Matrix of Leadership, and this guy is actually removable. Now check that out. This guy has got an awesome molded Matrix of Leadership right there. And he's got the 2 pegs, so you can actually put it on his fist, and he can actually hold that Matrix right out in front of him. And if I'm not mistaken, I do believe that this was the very first Prime or Convoy figure that we ever got that actually had an opening chest with a removable matrix of leadership that he could hold in his hand. I believe this was the first time that this was done. I know that there was a later release of the Generation 1 Prime that had a little die-cast matrix, and I showed you how that one goes with my Generation 1 Prime. But that came out later. That was kind of like a re-release of that figure later on. The original figure did not come with that matrix of leadership. This was part of the package. This came with the figure from its original release. And I believe that was the first time that was done. So, as far as robot mode, if there was anything that I could change on this guy, I can't think of it. I really do like the way this guy is. I don't really have a whole lot of complaints. I actually like the fact that some of these panels pop off when you're transforming him. If they kind of get in the way, you can just, pop them out of the way, transform him, and pop them back on. I know that's a lot of people don't really care for that kind of stuff, but if it makes transformation and playing with them easier, it's fine with me. The point of these are to play with them, so I like it. So I wouldn't really change anything about this guy. I love this guy. I think he looks super powerful, super cool. He just looks like a guy you don't want to mess with, and I absolutely love that about him. I think that about covers Beast Wars Neo Big Convoy. Please leave me a comment, subscribe, share with your friends if you like what you see, and I'll talk to you next time on That's Just Prime.